Hi there, my name's Vince from mymatevince.com, and in this video today is going to be the last in the series of the eBay challenge between me, the amateur, and Steve, the professional from TronicsFix. So it's my mate Vince versus TronicsFix. Pick 5 items, try to fix them, and sell the 5 items, buying them from eBay and selling them from eBay. So it's the eBay repair challenge. Now in here we have the very last item, and unfortunately I had to cheap out a bit on this one. Normally it would make more sense to, start getting more and more expensive as you go along, and then when it comes to the last item you might have enough money to buy, for example, an Xbox One X or a PlayStation 4 Pro, something like that. Unfortunately, on my third item I had a little bit of trouble. So the first item was the train, sold, no problem. PlayStation Vita was my second item, fixed that, sold it, no problem. Third item was Xbox One S, slightly more challenging for me, but I managed to fix it, and I did sell it, but unfortunately I didn't get any payment for it. So it sold for £230 something, which is ridiculous, a silly price anyway, but it still would have been nice. But unfortunately it didn't sell. It wasn't the buyer's fault. It was I can't really be bothered to go into it because it's a long story. Basically, it's the eBay Global Shipping Program. I didn't know. I thought that when you click on the eBay Global Shipping Program that they will ship that anywhere in the world, because they list all the countries that they do and they list the countries that they didn't do. What I didn't know is that it's item dependent. And believe it or not, the Xbox One S will only be sold to UK or Chile, which is just ridiculous. Out of all the countries in the world, the Global Shipping Program are only willing to sell it to Chile. I rang up, I double checked it, thought this can't be right, and it was right. Tried ringing up again, clarifying it, and I was told that's quite correct. They will only ship that to Chile, which is ridiculous. So a guy from Florida bought it, happy to pay the money, asked me how much it's going to be. I told him he has to go through the Global Shipping Program, and it didn't exist because the Global Shipping Program, when it comes to Xbox One S's, does not ship to America, which I just find unbelievable. I still actually can't believe that, but 2 eBay people have confirmed it, and I had to list that item 3 times. First time it sold to Florida and I couldn't make the sale. Second time I had to pull the listing because the same problem happened again with the eBay Global Shipping Program, and the main buyer was from Germany. And to cut a long story short, I'm only set up to post in the UK. The item was over 2 kilograms. I used raw mail. The Florida one, it was coming up as £80 something to post it, and I know nothing about customs or anything like that. Hence the reason I wanted eBay Global Shipping Program to look after it all, which is I thought is what they do, but only on certain items. So basically there's no money left in the pot because I haven't got the money through from the Xbox. So right now I've got the Xbox One S listed and my car listed. Now the car can go to all the countries in the world, not all, but nearly all the countries in the world. So I really don't know what it is with the Xbox. I'm wondering whether they've been stung in the past, and when you type in certain words like PlayStation or Xbox, they just refuse to post it. Maybe because they're more likely to be conned on it. I don't know. But anyway, that's where we are now. So on this item here, I had to go real cheap because there's not much money left in the pot. So, but just because it's cheap, it doesn't mean it's not going to be interesting. And I've chosen this one because I actually think that there could be, if I can get it to work, I think there could be a bit of a weird market for it that I think people might be interested in, especially if they're, young, trendy, hipster type people. Then I could imagine this in some swanky flat somewhere in in London. Now it's only going to be applicable for London because of what it is. Sorry, not London, for the UK because of what it is. But let's take this out without making a complete mess. Really nicely packaged. Oh, look at that! True professional at their work here. Really nice job. Right, okay. Here we go. You're probably wondering, what on earth is it? Some of you might be able to tell by the shape of it. You might be able to tell. Shall I give you a clue? Bring, bring. There we go. Giving it away now. Well, definitely 10 out of 10 for the packaging. Here we go. You're thinking, Vince, what on earth have you bought? But look at that. Right, okay. It is an old British telecom. Look at that sign there. Even that's going back a long time. Listen to that. So it is an old telephone, but this one's slightly different because the idea is that you're supposed to change the picture here to suit your wallpaper, so it will blend away into nothing on your wall, or you can put whatever you want in there. Now I could be a bit crazy and I might not be able to get this to work, but if I get this to work, this looks so retro, I really could imagine this in a swanky flat somewhere. I know most people look at that and think maybe it's something their grandma would have, but I think there's something pretty good about that, especially now that everything's just mobile phones. I don't know. I honestly think I might do all right on this one. That's if I can get it to work. Now let me show you what I paid for it. Right, now I told you it was going to be a cheap item, and it is. I paid £6.96. Let me zoom in a little bit. £6.96 and £2.90 for the postage. So in total that is £9.86, isn't it? So not too bad at all. And if you have a look at the pictures, it is exactly what has arrived, and it says here under the description, an old BT special phone designed for wall mount, some discoloration of the plastics, which obviously you're going to expect, and it says here sold as a collectible, not for use, not working now, but hopefully I might be able to get it to work. Now basically my background is BT. I used to work for BT as a phone engineer, but that was dealing with the actual lines themselves, the wires outside, you know, from the poles, underground, telephone exchanges, etc. Believe it or not, I don't know anything about the actual phones themselves. I've never had to really go into them and try to fix them. So this one's going to be interesting for me. I don't know what the fault is, but I'm hoping I will be able to get my head around it. And if something's gone, you know, there might be some spares, because maybe this thing here is very similar to some other phones. But that's what this video is going to be about. So it's not going to be a huge money maker, but remember, that could also be a wise move, because if I make quite a bit of money on my car, which I'm hoping to, the radio control car, which was part 4, then let's say if I was to buy a PlayStation 4 Pro with all the proceeds, what happens if I can't fix it? Then I've lost all the profit from item 1, 2, 3 and 4. While with this one, if I can't fix it, I've lost £10. So it really doesn't matter. And yet if I can fix it, you never know. This might go for £30 or £40. I have seen them somewhere quite expensive. So yeah, I actually think that this might be quite a wise move. Right, so let's plug it in and see what's going on with it. So before we test it, I just want to go on Google just to have a quick look at this telephone, see if I can find out any information. And look at it there, it's actually got a cork background, so I presume you could then pin notes and stuff to it. But it says here, telephone SR8031, and it says picture phone is a wall telephone that accepts pictures, etc. under a perspex front cover. Alternatively, a range of accessories could be purchased, cork and mirror board, so you could also have it as a little mirror so you could check your hair before going out. Now it says here the telephone has push button dialing, last number redial and an adjustable tone caller. The phone only came in light grey. Now check out some of these pictures. 1 second now. These would have been the actual British Telecom pictures. Now if that doesn't look 80s, I don't know what does. I can't actually pinpoint when in the 80s. I believe the BT went over to the piper, which is a different symbol of a man like blowing a horn thing, I think in 1991. So that says to me that this must be sometime in the 80s, but I'm not too sure. I think with that hairdo and stuff, it doesn't really look 70s, but you know, I could be wrong there. Let me just show you some other stuff. So if you have a look here, you can see it must have come with some sort of thing that said dentist, local police, that sort of thing, telephone numbers. So you could have that permanently up there, which might be handy for the older, you know, if you had maybe older relatives. Let me see what else there is. There we go, and that's a few examples of what you can have. So it's kind of interesting. You can see there with the wallpaper, it just blends in. So maybe that was the idea of it. Yeah. You could have your favourite artist up there as well. Do you know what? I'm really looking forward to doing this one. And amazingly, look at the price some of them are going for. This is £45, this one. And this one here is up for £60, 59.99 plus a little bit of postage as well. So if I can get this working, there might actually be a surprisingly nice amount of profit in this. I know that that comes with the box and everything, but even if I got half that, I'd be happy with it. So let's test this out and see what we can do with it. Okay, so I've got a little extension lead for my telephone line over here, so let's plug it in and see what it's doing. So it's supposed to not work. Got a really long lead with it. A few little nice design touches. So if you look at the back here, you can route the cable. You know, the cable goes down here, but also look, you can lose all the slack in here because obviously we have a lot of cable. And if the telephone socket was right by it here, you wouldn't want all this cable dangling down the wall. So you can hide all the cable away in this part here, which is quite nice, yeah? And then bring it back down here. Little things like that are nice little touches. It looks like this is how you adjust the ringer volume. Not sure what this one is here. There's it looks like a three-way switch down at the bottom. Maybe that's to do with ring tone. But let's plug it in and see what it does. Yeah, okay. Right, there's definitely no dial-in tone there. You're not going to be able to hear it. Well, you're not going to be able to hear it because it's not working. But if I get it working, you're going to struggle to hear it anyway. I'm just going to ring my landline from my mobile, just to see if it rings in. Okay, it says user busy. Oh, okay, because, well, that means it is keeping off the hook then. That means it is recognising that it's off the hook. Right, okay, let me ring it again. It rings. And these are the different tones down here. Whoa, that's a loud one. Right, let's do that. Yeah, excellent. Right, okay, so it definitely rings. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to ring it and I'm going to take it off the hook, see if it answers. Maybe it's a problem with the speaker, you know, the speaker in here. So I'm ringing it now. Right, so I'm going to take it off the hook. Hello, 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 hello. Right, so it's made the call, it's connected the call, but it isn't, you can see there, it's connected the call. Now when I hang up, I wonder will it automatically end the call here? Yeah, it will. Right, okay, so you can answer and you can ring in, but you can't hear anything and you can't speak into it. And also normally with these, when you like blow into the headset here, you can hear it a little bit here, and that's why people used to shout into the, well, people sometimes still do have a habit of doing that, but years ago people used to shout into their mobile phones, and that's because they were used to speaking on the telephone. And when you're speaking here, you can hear a little bit of your voice coming through the earpiece here, so you know not to shout. But on the mobile phones, that didn't used to happen. I don't know if it does now, I presume it does. But and that's why people used to be hello and shouting down their mobile phones. Well, with this it doesn't happen, but normally with these phones, if you blow into them, you can hear it coming through here, and it's not coming through here. Right, what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to dial my mobile from here to see if it's actually dialing out. And then that says to me that the fault is actually going to be either with this cable here or with maybe the microphone and the speaker. Right, unfortunately I'm going to have to cover up this because otherwise everybody will know my mobile number, so bear with me, let me just zoom right the way in. And let's zoom into here. Right, okay, so now I'm going to basically dial my mobile. And we'll see if my mobile starts ringing. Now it's going to take a long time because I presume with this it might be pulse dialing rather than tone dialing. Right, it doesn't appear to be dialing out. Right, okay, so that is not dialing out. So that says to me that it's not going to be a fault with this bit here. Well, I mean, it could be a fault with that, but also it's not dialing out, which is a little bit a little bit strange, because if there's a problem with this wire here, it should still dial out. Well, let's take this apart and it might become apparent when we take it apart what's the matter with it. Okay, so I've unplugged it from the telephone line because obviously I don't want to be dialing out and keeping my phone off the hook. More importantly, I don't want to be like pressing like 999 and ringing the police or anything like that. So I've got to try and take this apart, but I can't actually find any screw holes on it. It's there's no screw holes at the back. This is just for mounting it onto a wall. So what I'm thinking is that I have to get under here, and then there might be screw holes under here. Now, doesn't seem to be any obvious way to take this off. I can see that there's clips down the side here, so I think it's just a case of using a bit of brute strength. Hope I don't snap it now. Oh, there we go. Right, so that's that. That's nice and clean. There's a little bit of marking here, but overall it looks pretty good. Remember, realistically, this is probably going to be, you know, like 30 years old, possibly a little bit older. Right, excellent. So we've got screw holes here now. So we have 1, 2, and then this must separate it up. So let's get into this, and hopefully we might be able to see an obvious problem, which would be nice. It's all looking very clean. I don't think this has had much use at all, because if you look, there doesn't seem to be any grime or dirt in these bits here. It looks pretty good. Right, here we go. That's going to get in the way there. I'm not sure how I'm supposed to get that off with this in the way here. I wonder, does it unclip or what? I can't see how I can open that without taking this thing off here, but I don't see how I can take this off unless it just clips into place. I'm going to get some tweezers and little things to kind of lever it out. So back when this was made, BT would have been in its heyday. That's when it would have been making the most amount of money, you know, before mobile phones. I remember at school people used to talk about how many, like, thousands upon thousands BT would make per second and stuff like that. So it definitely made a lot of money back then. Well, it's not becoming apparent how to take this off at all. Am I missing something? It's easy when you know how, but right now I don't know how. So basically I can't lift this off because this is in the way, so I need to kind of somehow prise this out. But I'm just worried about breaking it, because obviously if I break this, then the phone's no good. Here we go. Yes. So it does just clip out. Excellent. There we go. Lovely job. This thing is immaculate. Right, okay, so that is what I'm dealing with. Now I'm going to take off the keypad. Here we go, it's really nicely made. Really nicely made. Right, okay, that wasn't on particularly tight, but it was still on. I think I'm just going to plug it in now just to see if it does anything now, because that did feel a little bit loose. No, still nothing. So we've got 4 wires going off to this here. Must be 2 for the speaker and 2 for the microphone. That all looks okay. I think what I'm going to do is, to start with, I'm going to do a continuity test on the lead coming into it, because we've got 4 pins here. A telephone will work on 2 pins, but it also needs the 3rd one on older phones to ring, so the ringer wire. So I'm just going to do a continuity test on it just to see if I have got continuity or not. Okay, so we've got continuity there. Let's go on to the next one. Yeah. Yeah. Right, okay, so 100% the lead coming into it is okay. So there's no problem with that. They all look okay. There doesn't seem to be any sign of corrosion or anything. I wonder, you know, would just one component cause it not to, you know, not to have any speaker or microphone, or stopping it from dialing out as well? I wonder whether it could be, you know, whether it could be just down to one, you know, one resistor or capacitor or transistor or something. Not too sure. Right, I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to try to get into here. Well, I wonder if I need to get into here, because that might risk breaking it if I get into here. Well, actually, there's a thing up here. I thought it was going to be moulded, but there's a little screw here. So let's undo this and see if we can get into this. I suppose if out of everything, this would be the most likely thing to break, because this is the thing that people drop. Again, very, very good condition. Look at the quality of it, with just a, you know, like little nuts and bolts to tie everything down. Looks really well made, really, really well made. Okay, so that comes up here, so I can do a continuity between there and here, and also there and here. But I reckon this cable's going to be okay. But let's see. So I'm going to go between here. You can see the colours green and red, and then I'll just need to go onto the green and red on here. Yeah, that's okay. Let's try the others. Yeah, that's fine, so it's not shorting anywhere else. Red. That's fine. This is going to be white. It's fine, and this will be blue. And that's fine, and also when I'm tapping these I can hear them actually going off a little bit. If I tap that, you can just barely hear a noise, and when I do it on the other ones I can hear it through the microphone bit. So that says to me that the speakers are okay, and the microphone's okay, and the leads are okay. So this is actually, it's going to be probably harder than I thought to fix, because already, if I'm honest with you, I'm a little bit stumped as to what to do next. So it's going off the hook, so that means that these micro switches are working. And it's ringing in, but yet you can't dial out. Let me have a little look in here. I think that looks okay. The soldering job isn't the best up here by any stretch of the imagination. Oh, hold on a minute, look. A little bit of solder that's broken off there. They're all going to be making a contact. In fact, I can test these, can't I, by just going following the traces. I'm just going to go from this side first of all. Right, well they're all okay. So it's nothing to do, this is what I think anyway. I don't think it's anything to do with the microphone, I don't think it's anything to do with the speaker, I don't think it's anything to do with this lead here, or the lead feeding it. I don't think it's anything to do with this keypad here. I know it's not the micro switch because it is going off the hook and on the hook. I know it's not this switch down here because that changes the ring tone, and also this changes the volume here. They're both working. So that leaves something on this board here, doesn't it? So this is where it's going to get complicated now because I've got to see what's going on with this actual board. Right, okay, I am going to make a note on the video about what goes where, because these things can go on either way round, these wires here. So I suppose to start with, this is where the power comes into the board. So I'm going to go from here and work my way, tracing the tracks round to different components, just to see if I can work out what's going on. Obviously, when I find out anything interesting, then I will then put the video back to normal speed and tell you what I found. Right, okay, I'm really struggling on this one, and you know what, I thought it was going to be an easy one. I thought it was going to be either cable related or, you know, plug or cable related, but I can't find anything that's obviously wrong with it. So basically this switch here on this side here basically takes it on and off the hook, and this one here allows the ringing and stuff, and they are both working. For example, when I, you know, do this, it rings. When I let go, it takes it off the hook. When I don't do anything with this one, if I just work with this one and not this one, it doesn't ring. When I press this one in, then it does ring. So obviously these switches are definitely working. I don't really know what to do, if I'm honest with you. So I think the only thing I can do is, which is going to take a long time, unsolder the parts that I'm not sure of. So for example, if I follow the traces from this top one here, then you know, one of them goes to this, you know, this one here, which corresponds to this component here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unsolder it, and then I'm just going to use this little tester here, and this will basically tell me what the part is. And then maybe, you know, if it's not telling me something, then perhaps it means that part is faulty. Maybe I can Google the numbers on it. So I'm just going to go through and do that. I mean, obviously, if it's something wrong with the chips, I don't even know if you can buy these. Are they specialist chips? I really haven't got a clue. But unfortunately, I'm starting to I feel like this one's slipping away from me, which is a real shame, because it looks to be in absolutely perfect condition. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'll come back to the video when I find out, or if I find out, or even if I don't find out, obviously I'll come back to the video and I'll tell you what I found. Now, I'm not going to film testing every single component here because it's just going to take me too long. But when I find something that I think is dodgy, then I will obviously film that. Right, okay, good news, I'm getting somewhere. Now, I've been on this for about, if I'm honest, over 2 hours. I've unsoldered so many things from this board. I've unsoldered all the diodes, all the capacitors. I've even unsoldered this chip down here, and I was reading up everything about this chip online thinking this was the problem. Then I came down to this thing here, which is a Zener diode, and I believe a diode will allow current through in one direction but not the other way, and with a Zener diode it allows, just like a diode, current through in one direction, but I think then when a certain voltage is released it allows current through the other direction, and on here it is written down as 18V. So would it maybe, when it gets to 18 volts, allow it in the other direction? Now, it's amazing, but I have now got dial tone when I take this out of the circuit. Now obviously I have to buy a new one of these, and I don't know whether I'm going to do it damaged. I'm only going to just show you quickly working, because I don't want to, I don't want to break this, because obviously this is here to do something. But check this out now. If I plug this in, have a listen. Yeah, it's now dial tone. If I put this back on here, so let me put it the right way around. There. Can you hear it stopped? Now listen, let me let go of it again. And it's back again. So let me unplug that, because I don't want to break it, because I have to order one of these up. Now, so all I was doing was basically taking off each component, because a lot of the time you can't measure stuff when it's in the board. I was measuring the resistors when it was in the board, and they were all reading something. I know that's probably not the correct way to do it, but at least it was reading something. They weren't just reading, like completely open. But watch this, when I put this in this little cheap tester here, this was only about £8, and it's a lifesaver. There you go, no unknown or damaged part. There you go. Yeah, and then I tested it on the meter now. I've been wiggling it around, that's why it's just snapped here. Tested it on the meter, and basically it's reading, on the diode testing, it's actually reading both way round, and I believe it's only supposed to read it one way round. So if I go there now, you can see down here 0.4, and I think it's supposed to be about 0.5. So, it's a lot less. But the thing is, it's reading the same both way round, even when I swap the probes round. Yeah, see the same figure that way round as well. So it looks like this is the culprit. Now I haven't been able to test anything else, for example the dialing out and stuff, and also it sounds quite crackly, but that's probably because of this. So I'm going to order one of these up, try to get the same one. If not, I'm going to have to go for something very similar. When I had a quick look online, it didn't look like there was a huge amount of these around, but I think I can get them on eBay. They're quite expensive. I think they were £4 or £5, but they weren't the 18 volt ones. But I'm going to do some more research. But it's amazing now that we do have dial tone when it's not in. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to order up this part, and then hopefully when it arrives we'll solder it in, and then we might have a working phone. So I will see you a little bit later. Right, okay, so these have finally arrived. So what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to solder it in just yet. I'm just going to open up the packet, and then I'm going to see, see if it's working. When I touch it across these points here, just to see if it's actually working, and then hopefully this might be the problem fixed. So I had to buy them in a minimum order of 5, but that's not a problem. So if you look very closely, there is actually a marking on one side. So on the circuit board, they very kindly put a little marking on one side as well. Okay, so the mark goes on this side here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug this in, and I'm just going to see if it cuts out when I touch that diode on it. Right, so right now we've got dial tone. Let me just pop this on the right way around. Right, I'm just going to listen to myself a moment. Excellent, we've still got dial tone. Right, so I'm going to solder this in properly on the correct side of the board. Hopefully then the phone will now be working.
There we go, so this one now is coming up as a diode. Right, let's fit it in. So that's now the diode on, nice and neatly, and I've cleaned up the board with a bit of IPA, make sure it's nice and clean again. And now it's just a case of putting it all back together. Now if you have a look at this cord here, you can see that it's quite knotted up, and that's not a problem. All that happens there is when it's been hung up various times over the years, it's been twisted and knotted and stuff. To get that out, it is actually quite easy. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to start from here, because this bit here looks okay. And then all I'm going to do is basically just start unraveling it, and you can see now when I sort of twist it out the way there, it's going to start going back to how it should be. Every now and then I'll have to use gravity and let this drop and just spin around to take the twist out of it, but it won't actually take that long to get it back to how it should be. So that's what I'm just going to work on now, and then put it all back together. Right, okay, so here it is, all back together. So I just need to now put the front cover on, this side bit, and then I've cleaned it up, so now we just need to test it, make sure it's working. Okay, so we are finished and it is all working. I'll show it working in just a minute, but that's it. It's come out good, or it was already in good condition to begin with. The lead gets a little bit tangled when you let it drop down. It seems to want to kind of use its memory and go back into the wrong shape, but you can twist it back into the right shape, but obviously that's not as good as when it was new. Also, this lead here, this is it's over 2.5 meters, but if you look closely, some of it does look quite damaged. Look in there, I don't know, it looks like it's been given a few whacks, or something's been having a nibble or something on it, not too sure. But again, most of this would be hidden behind the phone anyway, depending on where your telephone socket is. Now with something like this, it has to be wall mounted, so it's not going to work like a desk phone, because you need the gravity to be able to hang it up. You can see now that's off the hook. Yeah, you can hear the little micro switches. So it has to be wall mounted, which is the whole point of it, because you're displaying the picture on it. Yeah, I mean, it's all well. What I've noticed is there's the thing missing here, you know, normally where people write their telephone numbers, there should be a little bit of plastic here. I haven't looked at the other photos online, but this has to be here for a reason. So years ago, you did used to get things that you used to write on here, like a little bit of paper with a plastic thing over it. So it looks like that's got missing along the line somewhere. Now with something like this, it dials out on pulse, not tone. So when you first of all, if you try to dial your mobile, you think it's not working. It will work, it just takes a long time, but not on all telephone lines. So I've got a Virgin Media line, and in my house, so in my area, pulse dialing is still working. I think on BT lines it still works, maybe not all of them, but I think it does. But I've heard on things like PlusNet and stuff that it doesn't work, because obviously who kind of has old phones nowadays? Now if you're wondering, does pulse dialing work on your particular line, what you can do is you can get a phone like this, and you can actually dial out by tapping this here. So for example, if you take it off the hook to get dial tone and just tap it once, that will be the same as dialing number 1. So for example, if you wanted to dial 1, 2, 3, you would do pause, 2, and then that would be 1, 2, 3. If you need to do 0, you need to hit it 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Pause and then do the rest of the number. Yeah, so for example, 1, 2, 5 would be this. And then obviously if it was to dial out, you know pulse dialing's working on your line. If it doesn't dial out, you know your line is only set up for tone dialing, which is when you press the buttons and it goes beep, 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 beep. Also with pulse dialing, you can't go through the annoying automated systems where it does press 1 for this, press 2 for that, because it's looking for tones, and these old phones don't produce tones. But yeah, really, really happy with it. Doesn't look like it's had a lot of use. Looks to be really nice quality, especially when you compare it to something like this here, you know, this Benetone thing, which, although it does work, just feels absolute rubbish. While this feels nice and heavy and weighty. And I know it looks old-fashioned, but that is the point of it. Right, so let me show you it. Let me show you it working. Right, so we're going to plug it into the telephone line, and if you have a listen now. Hopefully you can hear that, and when you dial out, you can hear that the dial tone breaks. Yeah? There we go. So let's ring into this. I'm using my mobile phone over here. Right, it's going to start ringing. Remember, it's going to be like this. There we go. We've got the different tones down here. There. There. And there. That's by far the loudest. Take it off the hook. And now, if I was to speak into here, there's going to be feedback, but hold on, let me speak into here, and then you will be able to, hello, 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 and if I go here, well, let me take it up, put it onto speaker. Hello, 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 hello. Obviously there's feedback. That's not the phone's fault, it's just because they're so close to each other. Now, if I was to dial out, I'll show you the very beginning of it, but then obviously I have to put the camera away because otherwise everybody will know my number. Take it off the hook. 0, 7. Now I'm going to face it away. Right, now, so I've stopped dialing now, and watch how long it takes before it actually comes through. Because remember, it's going da-da-da-da-da-da. There we go, and eventually it comes through. Yeah, and if I answer the call, take it on speaker, again, hello, hello, hello. Speaking to here, take it off that. Testing, my mate Vince. There you go, you get the idea. So it's all working, and do you know what? I was so happy with this one here because it was just one tiny little diode that stopped that stopped it from working. So I was so pleased I found it because I almost gave up on it. I used no skill here. All I did was unsolder the components, put it in that little tester, and let the tester tell me what each thing did. And when I went onto that thing and it said, you know, part not recognized or faulty or whatever it said, then I thought, well, okay. Tested it without the part, and I had dial tone, but it was now noisy. It's not noisy now. The noise was to do with the fact that the diode wasn't in there. So great news. Now those diodes are not expensive. It's just that I had to pay a handling fee. I had to buy 5 of them, and I had to pay for postage. So 5 of them cost me £6 something. So it works out as, let's call it £1.20, you know, £1.20 each, or £1.30 or 40 each. I'm not sure as the exact price, but realistically, you could probably get them for 30 or 40p if you were doing a bulk order, or if you were buying loads of other things. I had to pay a handling fee because the price was under £20, but unfortunately I didn't need anything else from Farnell. Now, I didn't get the exact same diode. What I got is I got the same spec. So I went online and I had a look to see what was the same spec as it. The Xena diode, and there basically there was a couple of things that said that could be used in place of that one, and as you can see, it all appears to be fine. So like always, if you want this item, I'm going to put the eBay listing in the description down below so you can take a look at it. I don't know what it's going to go for. One of the eBay listings looks like it's gone already, and I think it could have been pulled, but I think that was up for the, I don't know, was it £50 or £60? I can't remember. Obviously that was in the box and stuff, and it was probably in mint condition. Maybe this one, you know, I think realistically I think it could be worth about £30, but then again, who knows? It's up to the buyer, isn't it? Will there be any money to be made by the time I pay PayPal, eBay and postage? Maybe not. There might be £5 in it or £10 in it if I'm lucky, but it depends how much it goes for. Obviously I'm running out of time as well, so I'm going to get this listed straight away now. I think it probably will go into the first day of November, but I've asked Steve and it's fine. He's still got a few parts to sell from the PlayStation Pro as well. Realistically, it is a bit too much to do 5 items, buying them and selling them and filming and editing all in the 1 month. It's actually been quite hard work, but you know, we're really looking forward to the next series. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a conclusion video where we're going to add up exactly what we've bought, sold, a profit on each one, you know, taking into account all eBay, PayPal, all the fees, all the chips bought and everything like that. And then we're going to come up with a final profit to see who is going to win overall. So I really hope you like this video. I really did enjoy doing this one because it was nice and clean, easy to work on, and just finding that one tiny thing that stopped it from working made this one of my favourites. Even though some people might think this is boring, I still enjoyed the fact of fault finding this one. So if you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe for more fixing videos, or trying to fix videos, how-to videos, and videos like this where I'm going to be doing, you know, further competitions with Steve. So yeah, take care. Okay.